streaming. Yeah, just let me know. We'll discuss this afterwards. Set up. Andy's messaging me. It's not picking up my coloring. There it is. It's just delayed for some reason. Making sure I have everything. Okay. And I believe we are good to go then. I am silent. A political philosopher, an ethicist.
Hey, I'm Koki.
And the episode we will be discussing today, I have to close the door because I forgot I live with people who are loud. Okay. Episode we are discussing today is Eggheads. So the sliders slide into a world where being intelligent is prized over seemingly other fields of entertainment. They're there for about 5 days. Some of the first things that is seen is a person wandering by with a boombox who's playing Tchaikovsky. I'm not a music person, so I wouldn't be able to determine the validity of whether that actually is Tchaikovsky. But then there's a sign on a billboard, bus billboard, something like that. That's Einstein wore khakis. Uh, they look up and they see a billboard of cue ball. I think it's a shoe advertisement. I don't fully recall, but and then it
just pick it instead of just do it for
right. And then a kid approaches him and basically asks for his autograph. The kid is named Sigmund, and then also asks for an autograph of Arturo. Says his mom has all of Arturo's textbooks, and he doesn't recognize either Remy or Wade. And the kid seemingly starts a mob around the Sliders, because everybody's just wants their autograph.
Yeah, I have a couple of thoughts about how this opens.
Go on.
One, obviously they're trying to convey this is a world where smart people do like are the athletes and the actors and sex icons and right now the kids like just saying it passively like oh my mom has all this stuff, but we start to see that they're much more like weird looking at Arturo, so we kind of get this idea that Arturo is seen as attractive or sexy or whatever in this world. But more of the boombox thing, we're gonna see like this bit of world building is inconsistent, and I know it's a shorthand, but like it is sort of holding up certain forms of music as more intelligent than others. And I'm not like disputing that. Oh yes, certain music is deeper than others, but I'm going to say if we're going to limit like intelligent music to like what was happening in Europe during the early modern period, there's a certain, I guess, bit of chauvinism that's shining through.
Yeah.
Rap music has its own sort of complex theory of music and rhyme, and of course there's intelligent music in all the other cultures in the world that are not the United States. And frankly, we only said that as a point of reference as one thing, but considering what the show is trying to communicate, there's a clear value statement that's happening here, right?
Yeah.
And the weird thing is that we do see rap in this world later, but yeah, I don't want to go too much into it. But obviously the kid's name being Sigmund implies that this is, figures like Sigmund Freud and other, modern era thinkers are an inspiration for people, and people are more inclined to name their children after that. Though no one in the main cast has a different name. And so, don't get me wrong, it's good world building. I'm just saying it's clearly making a statement.
Yeah. So then, I think it's Wade asked what's going on, and somebody's like, it's Quinn and Arturo. They're the Sliders. And this gets everybody's hopes up because they think that they're going to be able to go home because their doubles have invented sliding, and they've left. They get to Cue Ball's house, and he asks if it's been sold yet. If the stuff's been moved out from inside. The estate agent or whatever they are is says no, and just it's like, oh, Mr. Arturo, and just keeps touching him. When they finally leave and he finally gets her to stop, he mutters under his breath, something like obsessive to the point of lunacy. Intelligence is combined with sportsmanship obsession, seemingly, and not a replacement for it. Um, this is due to the fact that cue ball is a athlete in, or his double's an athlete in this world. I guess technically he's also an athlete in this world. Um,
Yeah, it seems as though a lot of smart people have like endorsements. I don't think of those assessments that intellectualism is praised instead of athletes and movie stars. It's like what you said. The intellectuals are the athletes and the movie stars of this world,
yeah,
and the sex icons as well. But yeah.
yeah. Granted, I know you're not saying it, but I'm just going to anyway. In his defense, he was there for just a very little bit and doesn't know the, at the time, didn't know the extent of what they were dealing with.
Yeah. At first glance, this isn't a terrible assessment of the world, and also they don't need to clarify this. We can piece it together.
Yeah. Um, so then, one of my favorite parts of the series happened. I enjoy when the rappers show up and are doing like in-universe raps about just exemplifying the change made. In this case, the rapping about the library and how cool it is, and that reading is hip. Um, if
So,
if you haven't seen it, it's I think it's a fun little thing, and you can check it out. It's just available on YouTube, easy enough.
this may seem like it's going against my early thing about like rap is complex and has music theory, and there's lots of other stuff that is smart. And even if people may not necessarily value it as such, but an aspect of the music video, not so much the song itself, is that it still shows that there's sort of a fascination with gangster culture, and obviously a culture can value more than one thing, and you can see them mix in interesting ways. But I do feel as though it kind of contradicts the world built up until that point. When people are, talking about these sort of, there's a certain lifestyle aesthetic that they're trying to convey in this music video as idyllic that isn't really in line with everything else that's been done.
Yeah.
But I do like the inclusion of other forms of music in this world. It'd be interesting if rap had a very different aesthetic in this world, but ultimately that's not what we see.
Yeah. So then, I'm not sure exactly, but I don't know. So they talk about the game in this world. The big one that the whole episode's premise is focused around is called Mind Game, and it's kind of like flag football combined with Othello. Cue Ball says at one point it's like Go mixed with Othello, but no, not really. It's just Othello.
Yeah, we can grant that he's still learning about the sport, and so he got the wrong impression of the rules or something like that.
Yeah. Oop. So,
So,
but you're
more likely, it's just that the people writing don't know much about Go.
yeah, and it's like, oh, that just looks like a smart kind of game. Uh, here we go. So Cue Ball decides because of that he doesn't want to be on the following game because he doesn't, want to be on national television and to make a fool of himself, which, is understandable. I wouldn't want to make a fool of myself on national television when I'm supposed to live up to something I've apparently already done, but haven't. Um, he goes on. Where'd it go? Oops. I zoomed in on my picture because that's how my computer works on accident. So Rembrandt is still betting on the sport because Cuball does decide to ultimately go on to play the game, and so right, Rembrandt bets on it even though he doesn't know the rules and bet against Quinn's team from winning, which is kind of silly. The silliness being that is betting on a game he doesn't know.
As a person who is supposed to be their main player is like, I don't know how to play this game. It seems like a safe bet that this person is going to lose.
Yeah. um. The what are they called? I'm not a sports person. The people who talk in a booth and talk about the game. Okay, so the commentators, one of their statements is it's not over until the fat lady closes the book, which I thought was just like mildly silly, possibly due to the fact that I've heard it a lot, but Koki burst out both times that he originally heard this.
Yeah, that's like a metaphor. Is that the term for it? That they're like really like the beginning of one thing and then ending with another thing.
I believe so. Yes. Really wish this picture showed up. Wait. 'Cause I can't. Well, whatever. And then I guess I'll just switch to more explicitly the cue ball storyline because there's a little bit of a difference between the cue ball and Arturo storyline. So I'm just going to do them separately. Otherwise, I'll just be flipping back and forth constantly, which makes for a fun TV series, or obviously if done right, but doesn't make for good commentary here, I believe. So Cue Ball's a superstar. He's on the Wheaties box. His basement is not a science lab like it was in our world. It was some kind of like lounge area. I feel like that would make sense because, at least allegedly, science is supposed to be well funded in this world, and so they'd have just a giant ass library they'd be able to utilize, and he wouldn't need to do like mad scientist stuff at home.
I mean, I say we obviously do a lot of funding to capita, but there's still a lot of people who want to say, oh, I started this business in my garage and now look at me. So, it doesn't strike me as that unusual. It wouldn't strike me as that unusual if it was like still, in his basement. That's part of the aesthetic of excellence, right? That you do it all yourself.
I could kind of see it. So he's then revealed as the head of the team for Mind Game at California University, or I guess whatever. His double is. He's wanted at practice because it's revealed that he's actually he he's back. That is to say, they think his double is back from sliding, and so the rules of the sport are unclear. The book on mind games that Stephen Hawking wrote is very large about like here's the tactics for it and how to play and the like. But it kind of seems like you can just be quizzed on almost anything, and you just yell out random facts about a variety of subjects while you're, in this case, training, but also in the sport, you're just running around. Um, Obviously, there's a flag football kind of or tag football aspect of it. Um, Sports still seems like it takes precedence over knowledge and education. Such as because the coach begins like he comes back and the coach says, "I bend the rules for you till they look like a pretzel, and you ditch me for a science experiment," or something equivalent along those lines. Um,
I think that you like the aesthetics of being intelligent in this world. I just really like being intelligent.
yeah. Um, and this led you to the idea that intellectuals are movie stars and athletes, and it's not that movie stars and athletes are intellectuals. Would you like to go more on that?
Uh, it's pretty straightforward. It's just more like the people who can effectively communicate themselves as being smart or capable in, I guess, the STEM fields. Yeah, now that I think about it, the science, but also science communicators. Carl Sagan was mentioned as one of the greats, and I'm not saying he wasn't a smart guy, but obviously a lot of it is a combination of intelligence and charisma that's, getting people attention rather than intellectual ability itself, right? And even though Turo, it seems though he's selling out like lectures, people sitting down for his lectures, which obviously does mean that he's conveying a lot of good information, but it's also being able to convey it in an entertaining way. Like, it's not a full departure. It's sort of like
You'd say,
aesthetics of science. I guess that's what I mean.
so you'd say that edutainment is more popular.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, mind game, yeah, it's being smart, but it's borderline Jeopardy. It's like not about actually doing science. It's not about like doing the experiments or writing, you know, reviews or it's not about getting published, right? It's about being able to answer trivia.
Yeah. And similar to like I guess there's a lot of overlaps with a variety of game shows. Might get to that. Do I get to that more?
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'm not sure, but yeah, there's a family feud thing in order to gain access to the ball at the very beginning. They have to click a buzzer, and it's the referee is like gives them a question, and they're like, we asked 100 scientists and their answers on the board, and they give the question, and then the person who gets the uh, answer with the highest number of scientists agreeing, or who had also said it, gets control of the ball. I feel like this is inverted. In were I to create such a world, I would have it be that the person who gets the one that has the lowest number of scientists, because this could be they're more familiar with the nuances of it, so they're more familiar with the controversies as well, as opposed to just surface level knowledge. Um, but also that it would could indicate a better familiarity with the topic, so they know the nuances, and so the more esoteric knowledge they would have would be a boon. But obviously, ultimately, that's not what happens in this world. So
And a lot of it is like trying to give the appearance of being science.
yeah,
And
yeah,
what's more sciencey than a scientist? The more you're like a scientist, the sciencier you are.
yeah. So I guess this does go with your, which I didn't think of prior, that the aesthetics of intelligence is more prized than intelligence. Um, so so then I had wrote down that the professor's understanding seems to be a. It took me a while to find it. Cum hoc ergo proctor hoc fallacy, or specifically wrong direction. With this, therefore, because of this. Um, that is, in this case, he saw two things concurrently and determined one caused the other when it was actually the inverse of what his understanding ended up being. Uh,
What specifically are you talking about involving this fallacy?
the professor Arturo at the very beginning, when he says that the scientists are yada yada. So the game seems to be based off of basic scientific knowledge more so than cutting edge or complicated stuff. Right, this is where I was getting at earlier, and my brain just decided to stop. Um, so they, um, dang it, what was I? Jeopardy, the game where
Yeah.
you questions. Yeah, it kind of seems like that, and you I don't want to say you can cheat the game, but it's like you can make the game easier if you were trying to like study for it by studying basics of any and or every field. Because the game isn't just you competing against your opponents. In order to make it fun for viewers, it also has to be able to be the answers have to be able to be done given by people at home as well. So that's why you're not gonna get like anything extremely complicated, except that in this case they're like, what's the nature? What are some things with quantum mechanics as the very first question, and I guess it's not very first. It's very first of it's the first question of the last game, but I feel like that's included solely because it's trying to reinforce that cue ball's an expert in this field. Um, but I guess that's a
Like,
degree of neither here nor there.
there's an interesting divide between, scientists that become famous as scientists and scientists in fiction. Both Flynn and Arturo are portrayed as these kinds of polymaths that do like all of the things.
Yeah,
And this show of intelligence is also like it clearly shows like it values polymaths rather than people who actually have real science. However, the people that they portray as the greats, like Stephen Hawking, Einstein, Sigmund Freud, they were all pretty specialized, So there sciences and whatnot typically know a lot about their particular field of study.
Yeah. They do have a tendency, at least in our world, of trying to step outside their field of study and talk authoritatively about things that aren't, but that's a also a separate thing. Um, so so yeah, Hawking and Sagan were some of the greats of this game, and uh, could be likely. My most what are they called? People who are in damn it, what is it? Sports tend to be younger, and so like the 30s, 40s is retirement age, and so it could be that Hawking made a name for himself really early on, before he got Parkinson's, or
Lou Gehrig's disease.
okay, I'm not a Hawking specialist.
He was diagnosed, I think, when he was 20, so he would have had to have taken off his teens. But then again, I think he was still working as a college professor well past that. So, it's actually a pretty great story, if anything, that this guy struggling with Lou Gehrig's disease is still performing in his intellectual athletic field. Or maybe they're just kind of implying that this world, we're actually not given any evidence that this world actually is more advanced. But, if the message is this kind of society would produce smarter people and things would be more advanced, and Stephen Hawking's there might be a cure for Lou Gehrig's disease or some kind of workaround for him to still be active. And, I mean, I think Stephen Hawking was plenty active, but, like, physically athletic despite having Lou Gehrig's disease.
Yeah. Yeah, we seem kind of more given evidence that the world is not more advanced. This could be from a number of factors, such as that we might get into a degree of the corruption. It could be that the trade-off has happened more recently. It could be like the past couple decades, maybe. Koki might have thoughts on this later, during the alternate history. So, continuing on with the sport, all athletes see something the coach says is all athletes see anymore is money and endorsements. Nobody cares about the love of the game anymore. Because Cue Ball was actually quitting after having been threatened by the mob. And I'll get to that in a moment as well. I had to make sections and subsections for this one. So Cue Ball actually quits the last game, and the FBI immediately show up and threaten him for a variety of sports-based betting corruption. I don't actually know how all the laws work as it relates to sports betting, but he's in trouble for screwing with it, at the very least. So, while Cue Ball was gone, Wilson was a substitute for him at the college. And when he comes back, Wilson is clearly annoyed and calls the mob to let them know he's back, and that he wants them to take care of the problem. This causes the mob to show up at Cue Ball's house, threaten him. We learn that Cue Ball's double is $1 million in debt. The mob boss knows Latin. I'm wondering if this has been happening for a while. Why isn't everybody speaking one of these smart languages?
Aesthetics of intelligence.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting that the humanities outside of that. Well, I suppose that's an interesting thought. Like the guy
So Cue Ball wants to flee from the thing, goes to tell the coach. That's where the FBI show up. He convinces them that if they if they don't immediately arrest him, he'll get them the mob, and even more sports betting based manipulation. They'll deal with it on a more large scale than just him. I believe he says he's just a small fish, not like Rembrandt's bandmate Maurice, but I think his name's Maurice Fish. So Cue Ball does join the game even though he's in danger, and he's like, because he's got to leave since he's sliding very shortly, he's like, oh, I don't think I can play anymore. I'm seeing stars or circles or something. And so the coach says, Wilson, you're in. And then Cuba makes sure that Wilson doesn't play because Wilson's going to like throw the game or something. And so the coach takes Wilson out as well and puts the third bench player in, Boyer. And so the mob just storms the court instead of staying in the shadows to follow after Cue Ball, and I found that a little weird because that just makes them suspicious.
Yes.
That's the opposite of what you want to do if you're threatening people's lives.
Exactly what you want to do if you want to build up tension for an entertaining show.
Yes, I agree. However, I would hope that they are not aware that they are on a show, because that would be silly. That one too. Good up. So that basically summarizes up the entirety of Cuba's storyline. Arturo advocates for switching places with their doubles until they find the sliding device. And this... Go on.
That might have been the wrong approach. Simply because they in this world they identify the sliders and they're famous for doing this kind of thing, and it really seems as though this is the best world to understand that would actually understand their situation, especially it's like we're actually trying to get back to our own world. We have one out with the timer to see the stuff. They'll have a consistent story across both of them, but I suppose they were working together and it would be a similar situation. So I wouldn't be terribly surprised if people still thought they were faking it, but at the very least, either they think they're faking it and they are the same people, so it's like, okay, we'll help you gain access to your site, equipment, or they do believe them, and it's like, oh, hey, we have visitors from another world. Let's, help them gain access to their doppelgangers' sighting equipment so that they can make the problem.
Yeah.
And, hopefully bring back our people too, which we were waiting on.
And obviously, you did bring up when I first made an objection to this, they wouldn't have known about the issues that their doubles are facing. I still haven't gotten to Arturo's, but that's kind of the point of bringing it up now, is that since they're completely ignorant of it, they don't have they really have no reason to believe they should go undercover. So Arturo and the gang go back to California University to go to his office, and it turns out that he's actually the chairman of the department. This leads me to question whether or not there's more meritocracy in this world. then within our own, I'm not really convinced that meritocracy in our world is possible, and people like to believe that it is for a variety of reasons. Um, but do you think this would be a more meritocratic world?
It depends on merits. I guess Otero is really good at communicating this aesthetic of science, and yeah, it seems as though places are sold out for his lectures. So he has an amount of fame and prestige. Now, whether or not this makes him better qualified to be a chairman, I think so. But at the very least, I can see the argument that, well, in this world, you know, being successful, like, politically and being successful intellectually, while not one for one, are more related than they are in our world. But again, it seems as though charisma is still a big factor in all this.
Mm-hmm. To Arturo, we see in his office that he's double gives sold out lectures at the Mirage Hotel. I don't fully know what all takes place at the Mirage. I mean, I presume that's where entertainment things are. So probably like Sigmund and Freud, maybe Penn and Teller's. There's probably other people, but I mostly know of magicians. Um, so he calls his house, and the woman answers the phone, and then he's like, "There's a woman in my house," and then not sure what to do. He gets a call back, and he answers it just seemingly absent-mindedly, and the person on the other end is, "It is you." He hangs up the phone and just tries to flee, like almost literally starts to run out the door.
Imagine a world when the phone rings and you're just like, I don't know who it is. I'm going to answer it. Imagine.
um, And so at a later point, he goes back to the campus and asks for three science-y sounding things. I don't remember what two of them are, but the last one is he's like, and I would like the location of the sliding device as well, sliding machine. I feel like in context with the other stuff that he's been asking for and how they're presented and what they're supposed to have done, he did it in a sufficiently subtle enough way. I mean, there's probably could be more subtle, but nah. There's always trade-offs to everything. I will do that one. He goes into his office, and or the secretary then says that he leaves everything on his home office. So he goes, but that there's a woman there to see him. He walks in, and there's a woman looking out the window, like I guess an attractive blonde, and I don't know what the if it would be right. Would it look like he's hitting on her? Would that be an appropriate description?
I don't remember it that way, but
Like, I know he kisses her hand, but
yeah, I saw it with you last time about that.
mm-hmm.
I remember commenting the fact that we don't see her face at the beginning. She turns around like, is this supposed to be a reveal? Are we supposed to know who this is? I feel like it was framed in a way that we're supposed to be, oh, it's her, but
I don't know if anybody can hear it, but there's a thunderstorm happening outside. So if you hear loud bangings, I'm not being bombed.
that ruins the illusion. Whatever we're doing is for apocalypse bunker.
That would be interesting.
We need to let our audience imagine.
Oh, okay. Imagine we're doing this from an apocalypse bunker and I am being bombed. um, so I feel like at least my interpretation of kind of hitting on this person goes to reinforce what immediately follows, the fact that he's being sued for divorce by his wife. Um, although his wife died a couple years into their marriage from a brain aneurysm. Obviously, this one did not, which is another alteration that I don't think could be answered solely by, well, it's a different be the world being smart. I don't think answers not dying from brain aneurysm
I mean,
per se.
I'd say if you can treat Lou Gehrig's disease, medical science could be more advanced.
Yeah, I mean we don't know if it can treat Lou Gehrig's disease.
Yeah, I know, but it seems as though there are at least two instances of, hey, something medical happens, and it's like, but that doesn't seem to be a factor here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Um.
Where, where medical things do not happen.
So the he goes to visit her, and she's like, the lawyer says he shouldn't have contact with you. He's clearly still in love with her, but because he's not his other self. Once again, Wade is uncharacteristically not in line with their general ideas that she puts forth in other episodes when she says, this woman is not your wife. Throughout the rest of the series, before and after, she's constantly laying claim to all of the families of all of the other Wades. And
Yeah, that is kind of weird. It's like, detachment for thee, but not for me.
yeah. Arturo.
Part of it is
Oop.
that they just want to play her off Arturo more. They have sort of a, not really antagonistic, but like depressing relationship. So,
Yeah, they seemed like they're trying to make them act as eternal foils of each other, which could could be interesting, but when they wildly flip their attitudes just so they can argue with each other, it's kind of it's more annoying than intellectually stimulating, or even I don't even find it what's it called
engaging.
yeah, it's just like, why are you doing this? Know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah, okay. So Arturo thinks their doubles actually never found out how to slide, and they're all and the both of them are just like hiding, because um, because they're both kind of all of the evidence points to their character, their other selves, being jerks, and I don't want to say mean, like not stupid.
I mean, they're selfish.
Yeah, that's what I was going for. So he thinks that Cue Ball is just hiding from the mob because it's the mob. This makes sense. Um, and that his doppelganger has cleaned out the joint bank account with his wife and is in somewhere in Europe with his mistress. Um, Arturo then meets with his not actually wife in a outdoor restaurant, and he she once again reaffirms that the lawyers are opposed to this. He's like, I have problems to solve, not physics problems this time. Convinces her to delay the divorce, does not actually convince her to cancel it, doesn't even try to convince her to cancel it or not get the divorce, just leave it for a moment. And when she agrees, when that's all said and done, he then goes to back to what's it called, his office, and records a video for his other self, and basically complains that his other self is throwing away all of the good things in his life for the okay things. And he wouldn't realize what a horrible mistake he is making until it's too late, should he continue what he's up to. Then he leaves again. He tells the secretary, when I get back, it's imperative that I see this. And after, when his double gets back, presumably, he'll see the video, and it's this Arturo's hope that the other Arturo will, get his shit together and stop being terrible, get back with his wife. So this is also an episode in which not Rembrandt, but Arturo is portrayed as the sexy character and highly desirable, and not Rembrandt.
Yeah, it Arturo has his own little romantic misadventure that's kind of separate from the main thing. That's usually where, well, I'm not sure about usually because I forget how often this trope happens, but at least thus far in the series, that's been Rembrandt's purview.
Yeah.
Honestly, as a fat, hairy guy that uses a lot of big words, it's a shame that they think, oh, this is going to be some other world where people like me are going to see the sexy and desirable. Granted, I'm not as accomplished as Arturo, so maybe even in that world I'm a bit of a loser, but
That seems unlikely.
I do find it interesting that it's like, okay, we'll let Arturo have a little romantic subplot in an alternate reality where people like Arturo are more desirable than people like Rembrandt.
Yeah. So, alternate history.
Well, I was thinking about this because fundamentally it's not that different a world, save it being in terms of culture, right? There's a kid named Sigmund, so we're assuming that people might be more likely to be named after like famous intellectuals. But at the same time,
I guess that would necessitate that the world difference is at least like 12 years or something.
yeah, like literally the world of that name. Quinn and Maximilian have the same name. It'd be weird if their doppelgangers had a different name, but I say it'd be weird. Really, that would be one of the more minor changes compared to some of the other changes that have happened between them. But regardless, figures like Einstein still rose to prominence. Even Hawking, I'm inclined to say maybe spelling bees and math competitions and stuff were something that started appearing in radio and early television. There was a bit of experimenting, and ultimately, people were more interested in sports and movies and things of that nature. But I don't know how much of it is actually about people themselves being more drawn to these things. To an extent, they would, and I wouldn't erase the popularity of baseball. That was already way popular before the advent of, radio and television. But I do think that it might just be a matter of which was more effective at presenting it as a mass media thing, right?
Mm.
Like, if the people who were sharing college lectures over the radio were maybe just a bit more dynamic, and the actual lectures were a bit more riveting, we kind of see this sort of, oh, hey, yeah, I listen to Maximilian Arturo, oh, hey, I have a giant bust of Einstein in my town square. Who doesn't? A lot of it does seem like it's definitely on the media culture side of things, and I would say that the first half of the 20th century is probably around where this shift could have happened. Like, it's not so much the sports themselves, like baseball and basketball and gridiron. They had an amount of popularity, but the shift happened because radio presents intellectual stuff, how much better. In fact, I'd say that the dawn of mind game is a good way to sort of make the bridge between stuff like spelling bees and athletic competitions. If they were combined early on, if someone had this idea in the 30s, it could kind of take the wind out of the wings of the sports superstars that were starting to emerge at that time period.
I had known about but completely forgotten about spelling bees and the like having been broadcast. So, given everything that, or I guess to be more on topic, should they stay in this world and fix their sliding device?
I mean, it seems though like half the mob, there'd be some awkwardness in Maximilian's room talking about how, like, from being after they both pretended to be their doubles. But they have a lot of problems. This isn't the worst world to end up in. I'd say that much. But they have, at least their doppelgangers have an amount of prestige that they would have access to something their sliding device. But this is kind of a soft, yeah, maybe they can stay.
Yeah, I feel like the other Arturo would eventually return. This one would just have to, bugger off for a minute. It wouldn't be too.
For years, Arturo would end up staying forever and just trying to, adopt his nest. Or maybe he could take his alternate world wife to his world. There are any number of possibilities.
Yeah. So I guess what I was so I would agree. I feel like this is one of the better worlds to stay in, even if they have a bit of an issue. Well, I guess Cue Ball would be a little more difficult due to the fact that he's wanted by the mob. It's a little harder to just not deal with that.
Because I don't think the FBI is going to take care of anyone's thing. And it's also kind of weird that the FBI was like totally like, oh yeah, we're down. Like, just because, I mean, you found them trying to enact violence on someone due to gambling stuff. But it's kind of difficult to prove all
in this case, that they at least have them on attempted murder.
Yeah, yeah.
And Q-Ball would probably go into witness protection program, or at least could go into witness protection program.
That would undermine his ability to make the sliding device if he doesn't have the prestige of those.
Yeah, true, but he also most of what he needs is to be left alone to finish his sliding device because he already knows mostly how to make it out of stuff he can just gain access to. Um, Granted, well, I guess this would work from the benefit of his other self as well, because his other self would just have to not come out of hiding too, and he's already in hiding. But I think my actual question that I wanted to be topically or to be on topic, but instead I asked this question twice, was what do you think is the nature of Puerto Rico in this world?
So, I'd like to think that the Arecibo radio telescope is better funded. Granted, at this point in the 90s, it was already doing pretty well, and it had a pretty busy visiting center. So I'm going to say that I like to think that this would probably still go on till the 2020s, though I will concede there have been bigger, not just radio telescopes, but different kinds of telescopes instead. So maybe it will still be obsolete by the 2020s and be decommissioned after Irma Maria rather than repaired. But Puerto Rico has had its fair share of scientists. I can't think of any that have really broken through as sort of like, hey, this is the famous Puerto Rican scientist. But obviously we have people who are working in the pharmaceutical industry that might have a bit more sort of name recognition. Because this is the thing, like, I think the culture of Puerto Rico is pretty far removed from the economy of Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is involved in like petrochemicals and pharmaceuticals and astrophysics and all of this kind of stuff. But Puerto Rico is primarily known as a cultural exporter, making music, and I don't know if you're gonna say would reggaeton exist? Maybe. And that also leads heavily into the gangster study, which is clearly still popular in the United States. So it's hard to say. If we're talking about like Puerto Ricans broadly, I suppose we have Neil deGrasse Tyson, whose mother is Puerto Rican, and it's probably like one of the most recognizable, people Puerto Rican sense in science. But I mean, you look at California, the world isn't that different. It would be a similar thing. Like the celebrities would be different, but it would probably be more or less the same. At least I can't think of anything like there's no anti-intellectual strain that radically changed Puerto Rico that, between the 1930s and now, things would be different. Okay, so I guess if we're going to go into, like, the Earth Prime Wikis explanation for this, that rather than Rousseau or Locke taking off the Enlightenment, that Hobbes is the one that did this. Because I guess the thesis of it is intellectual advancement isn't necessarily moral advancement, and so people seem to value the intellect, but not necessarily the moral. I feel like this would change a lot more things in terms of political science.
Right, I forgot to I forgot to go over that part that I was intending to. But go on. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
We don't see the politics, but we're not given any reason to believe that it's like a obvious side of dictatorship. But if we were to say that, okay, this is a world where Puerto Ricans are smart do science and don't care about morals, then maybe this would not be as remembered an event, or even now it's kind of obscure.
Yeah, I don't think
Or
it's that they
where maybe
don't
it's
care about morals. I think it's that there was the moral system in play is basically identical to what it would be in our world. It's just
that's basically, yeah. I mean, I do think that it's showing, putting them Maximilian as just worse people, and the fact that Earth Prime is used as a point of divergence as to why the world is different makes me think that no people are. Were,
uh,
but that being
sorry,
said,
you cut out.
oh, well, I said that the fact that the Earth Prime wiki is using Hobbes as a point of divergence
Mm,
at least is trying to play with the idea that people are smarter, but they are worse people. Rather than, yeah, they're smart, but they're just as bad as us. So women and masculine are clearly worse than they are in our mind. Uh,
yes.
but ultimately, this is just kind of silly, and this is me just sort of like scratching it to say, oh, hey, maybe Puerto Ricans will take pride in the fact that they were involved in eugenics operations, that they did, like, they released radiation on their prisoners to see the effects of radiation on the body because, hey, they're convicts, why not? You know, there was already a lot of. I suppose our timeline is the amoral but scientific treatment of Puerto Rico timeline. So the idea that it would be war that is kind of hard to imagine, right? Like, if we're talking about all of the messed up things that sort of like, oh yeah, let's just give a bunch of women birth control before it's been fully tested and certified for release, and whoops, spaghettios, some women have problems with their hormones being tested. I could really go on forever when it comes to like science, truth, and morality. In our timeline, has already been terrible to Puerto Rico.
Yes.
Uh, so, I don't know what more there is to say, to be honest. I'd say that, yeah, Puerto Rico already lived this time frame.
Oof. So yeah, I don't think that I had brought it up or remember exactly where it went, but oh right, it's int. Arturo says intellectual refinement is one thing, moral refinement is another. In response to Wade being like, I don't understand why they're like this. I thought this was supposed to be a world that was smart, and Arturo's response is basically, yeah, you can have smart people and they can still do terrible things, as exemplified in the whole episode. Um, that's Koki's probably brought up the most salient examples of it, but in a similar vein, it's also happened during there were a lot of scientific advancements that are incredibly invaluable that were done by the Nazis, and they just didn't care about morality of what they were doing. Well, like maybe they cared about morality, but they had a very warped sense of it. Uh,
I'd say Unit 731, if that's the right number, by the Japanese is a better example. As much as the Nazis, like, did a lot of propaganda about their science, really all we got from the Nazis outside of rocketry, what we're talking about specifically their unethical stuff, is the effects of hypothermia on the human body. Which I guess is valuable, but, they're better examples of people being horrible for the sake of science than the
mm-hmm.
Nazis.
I
Those
that
are much closer to home.
That's fair. Could you go on about the unit? Maybe wrong number 731.
It was a Japanese post in Manchuria where they engaged in all kinds lot of it was very pseudoscientific bullshit.
Mm.
That's I wasn't really prepared to go into this, but
Oh yeah, that's
one
fair.
thing you said is that a lot of the Nazi quote unquote science was basically going into phrenology, or sometimes literally phrenology. Uh, whereas Japanese Empire was actually testing disease application and all kinds of stuff on just these poor people that could not have possibly done anything to deserve it, you know.
Mm.
But
Yep. So yeah, the long and short of what I was getting at, basically being not obviously not disagreeing with Koki's statements, that just because you're smart or you're perceived as smart at the very least does not mean that you are by necessity a good person or a moral person. Morality is completely a separate category from intelligence. And I mean, to some degree, there's an overlap. The more informed you are about subjects, typically the less of a dick about various things you are, because you are more likely to understand the nuance and complexity of the issue. But there's a great many people with PhDs who get up and talk on like Fox News or on are elected to governments, and they just do wildly terrible things because morality is unrelated. It's, uh, it's not a one for one. I mean, is what I'm getting at.
and our earlier remarks about polymaths, you commented that a lot of people, even if they tend to be specialized in one thing, they feel qualified in talking about other things. And yeah, there is an air of authority that intelligence, or at least the perception of intelligence, has that perhaps is unwarranted.
Possibly even dangerous.
Yeah, and I suppose there was also the remark that Rembrandt made earlier to Quinn when hearing about the house being not foreclosed, but being auctioned off, and his ass is frozen. It's wait, if you're so famous, why are you so broke? You know, in reality,
Mm.
there are plenty of cases where people suddenly became successful, but could not manage that financially because that's a completely different skill set. I mean,
Yes.
Will Smith became very wealthy very quickly and did not spend it responsibly at first and had a lot of financial hardship because he couldn't pay taxes on all the money he made. Uh, so, this idea of excellence and the aesthetic of excellence, it works for fiction because we want to have our heroes and stuff, but maybe it's dangerous in fiction. I don't know. I can't comment one way or the other. I was going to say it doesn't reflect reality.
Yeah, I could see it being dangerous in fiction due to upholding the claims that intelligence is a signifier, even if they're not like trying to explicitly say that smart people aren't capable of wrong.
I mean, this is the thing. It assumes that intelligence is a thing, right?
Yeah, I guess that's the thing we haven't commented on either. Intelligence is fake, and there's multiple kinds of intelligence that are valued differently, like emotional intelligence, the ability to understand how other people are feeling, to sympathize with them is generally not well regarded, or is dismissed. spatial intelligence is generally not one that people consider when somebody's like says they're really intelligent. Nobody is like, oh, they're capable of telling distances to extreme levels of accuracy just by looking, um, which is a kind of thing that I'm weirdly capable at. Um, and to exemplify it, I would not say I am very intelligent to mean that I am capable of doing that. It has a specific connotation of being good at particularly these STEM field categories.
I mean, people might extend that to the humanities if someone like is a polyglot, or if someone like knows all of history, or things like that. But you know, like people do believe in like literary intelligence, but they're not going to make a distinction, right? Like when we imagine a genius, we imagine them as a polymath, as opposed to we're all kind of cogs in the machine one way or another.
Mm. So I believe that's basically the extent of what I have to say. This episode was fairly straightforward. We actually talked for significantly longer than I was expecting us to. Did you have anything further you wanted to say as well, Koki?
Be excellent to each other.
Okay, so we will see you in our next video then.